Hi, this is Erin and Simon with Assets and Arbitrage. And today we're going to talk about scarcity and global inflation. Simon and I have noticed that a lot of people really just want to I want to say tunnel vision focus on crypto. They don't really seem to care about anything else going on economically. And we want to say that that's a horrible idea. It's really important to kind of stay on top of, we're in the transition of a change in monetary policy globally. And I think it's important to see how the wealth is moving, understand the scarcity of it, the illiquidity of it, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, yeah. So we've come across a few articles this week that we want to get into, some charts, just some technicals and some things that people should be aware of that's going on around them. And like she said, we understand that the channel is is crypto based, but we do have to bring in some other things, so we can have that big picture. Right. So do you want to start with the first article?
So we have a few articles we're going to share with you. I am going to share my screen. So hopefully you guys can see the screen. Let's just make it bigger. So the London silver inventories continue to plummet as metal exits the London Bullion Reserve. You want me to read the article?
Mm-hmm.
So this is an unprecedented situation. This article was written in September. It's emerging in London, where the relentless hemorrhaging of one of the world's largest stockpiles of silver is now well and truly underway. For the last 9 months, this stockpile of silver that was held in the London Bullion Reserve, or the vaults in London, have been consistently falling each and every month and has now reached an all-time low. They typically keep billions of ounces. For the first time ever, you can see that they've dropped below the 1 billion ounce level, falling to 997.4 million ounces. Why is this important? It's important because for those of you who are not familiar with precious metals, silver, gold, so on and so forth, you have to understand that the older the mint or the older the coin, the more valuable or the more value it has. So this is very old wealth that seems to be disappearing. And it's almost as if they don't know where it's going. So the reason we bring this up is because we recently watched a video with a gentleman named Andy Schectman. Do you want to introduce Andy Schectman to them?
Yeah, Andy Schectman is the CEO and founder of Miles Franklin, which is a silver distributor dealer. And, we've been following him for quite some time. And he's just talking about how the silver this is disappearing from basically the exchanges, the COMEX and things like that. And we'll get into that because we want to tie that into Bitcoin, because what we're talking about is scarcity. And we have a chart later on. We'll talk about the scarcity or the illiquidity of Bitcoin. But yes, the COMEX is where they are trading silver, mostly paper silver, but you can stand for delivery. And there is some physical silver. They reserve the right to not pay you in silver or gold, I should say, and just pay you in cash. But I'll let her read you about the COMEX.
So I wanted to show you here in the article, they're telling you that the COMEX silver is in crisis. Okay. Over on COMEX in New York, the silver situation is precarious, with registered silver inventories in the COMEX approved warehouses practically in free fall and at a 4.5 low. This is insanely low. I mean, for somebody to write that in the article, it needs to let you know that there is an issue with the wealth. I don't know if I've ever mentioned on this channel, but we used to do a different show called Wealth Wednesdays. And we had mentioned that on or about 2035 to 2050, silver will be the first element struck from the periodic table because it will be mined into an extinction. We are starting to see the beginning of that, which is why we are always encouraging you guys to add some silver to your portfolio. There's going to come a time where you can't just buy that silver ounce coin or buy the bullion or whatever it is that's being sold.
And I want to just mention there, because silver has a unique quality. It has a quality as an investment, as money, but it also has an industrial quality, right? There's a lot of silver used in semiconductors, solar panels, computers, laptops, phones. So it's a very unique precious metal, because gold you can also use, but because of the price of it, it's just not economical to use gold in certain things. But there is gold, there's small, bits of gold, and sometimes in your iPhone and stuff like that. But it has a large industrial use, and also people are hoarding it as a monetary investment. So silver, it's very interesting. And like I said, we try to tie this stuff back to crypto and Bitcoin, because what you're going to see is silver is mined as just like Bitcoin is mined. Think about Bitcoin, it has ultimate scarcity. Silver doesn't have ultimate scarcity. Gold doesn't have ultimate scarcity, but there is a level of scarcity that you want to take advantage of, right? Like she said, put some into your portfolio. We're going to get to the Bitcoin illiquidity eventually, but go ahead.
So I just wanted to mention, to show you how they're to demonstrate to you how they're telling you that the COMEX is in crisis as with the silver. One thing that Simon, you usually mention it, but you didn't mention it just now, was that when silver is used in devices and solar panels and so on and so forth, the silver is not repurposed after that.
No.
Like if you throw your cell phone out, that's why companies are asking you to recycle your cell phones, drop them here. If you send them back, we'll give you rebate offers, so on and so forth. But, laptops that get lost and all of these devices that utilize the silver, it is not repurposed. Once it's used in that device, that's it, it's gone. So it is going to be used to almost an ultimate scarcity at some point.
Yeah.
Unless another star explodes, because that's how silver is made, by stardust. We can talk about that in the family homeschooling channel. You're not going to get like a fresh batch of silver. So that's what we wanted to mention to you guys. Here, the APMEX, which is where we get our silver from, the American Precious Metals Exchange, it's saying right here, silver is in demand, right? They're willing to pay you in one business day, limited time sell back price. They're going to give you the spot price plus $10 per coin for the American Silver Eagles. For those of you who are not familiar with precious metals, the American Silver Eagle is like the flag coin in silver. It is what you want to have. It is universally recognizable with dealers. It is one of the ultimate collectible items that you would like to have in your portfolio. I tell you this, but looks like you're going to have a hard time getting some. So if you, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, so if you do have them in your collection, I personally would suggest you hold on to it. I don't think it's worth the spot price plus $10 per coin. But if the American Precious Metals Exchange is having a hard time sourcing American Silver Eagles, that tells you just how far the crisis is trickling down to the distributors. The COMEX, that's where it starts. So like that's your source. And then when you see the American Precious Metals Exchange, that's where we buy it. They're having a hard time getting in touch with it, with all of their resources, all of their dealers, all of their places where they source their silver. You have to understand there's a problem.
So what she said was very important, universally recognizable. And that's where we go back to the tenets of money. Right, we named the 5, 6, 7 tenets of money, but one of them that is important is that it's universally recognizable. And when you buy silver rounds, You have different silver rounds that are universally recognizable. And the American Silver Eagle is one of those that when you go to, sell your silver or, take profit, if you have silver eagles, they are recognized around the world.
Mhm.
And so they are some of the best rounds that you should purchase and have in your portfolio. This $10 price per coin premium, because silver's trading right now somewhere around 19. I don't know the exact number, but you're going to get a $10 premium. So, if you want to take profits, if you have some extra silver eagles in your portfolio, you want to take profits on them, this is good. Like she said, you can hold on to them. But people are having hard time sourcing silver in general. And so, like we say, we would tie this all together with cryptocurrency. Um, People are going to eventually have a hard time sourcing Bitcoin. And this is something you need to know. Have your portfolio, how would you say, diversified, however you want. A lot of times, silver and gold is a hedge, and it's a way to keep your purchasing power from the dollar. There's a lot going on, and we're going to talk about some inflation too, where people want to protect themselves from all the inflation going on. So you may have, a portion in silver, you may have some in different cryptocurrencies, like we always say Bitcoin, but the currencies that you see fit. So we're just talking about things that we had seen over the week and we wanted to talk about and to bring some light to.
So for those of you who've been following our show, you guys know that we are major hodlers, right? We like to hodl. We're in for the long game. We're long-term investors. We always talk about low time preference, but we do want to make something very clear to you guys as we talk about global scarcity, because that's really what it is, and inflation. So here it says the hodl model. Bitcoin illiquid supply is outpacing issuance. Okay. I've noticed that last year when Bitcoin was at 62,000, I heard a resounding response of, man, I should have bought it when it was at 20,000. Do you remember those people?
I remember.
Bitcoin was at 20,000. Those people, a lot of them still hasn't bought Bitcoin. Oh, it went down. It's going to crash. Like they had a whole new excuse as to why they weren't going to purchase the asset. So here we're saying now, you're going to get to a point where you can't purchase it. It's like what was that? Goodfellas? Not Goodfellas. Carlito's Way, when he said, now you can't leave, right? I was trying to kick you out at a bar and you're acting up. You know what? Now you can't leave. So you're getting to the point now where people aren't going to be able to source the Bitcoin. For those of you who are not aware of what illiquid supply is, we never want to make an assumption on who our audience is. It's essential to understand a liquidity profile of Bitcoin circulating supply. Quantifying supply across different levels of liquidity helps us better understand market supply dynamics, investor sentiment, and Bitcoin's price trajectory. Last week, we had a great show called SOPR, which was an analysis tool that can help you understand market supply dynamics, investor sentiment, and Bitcoin's trajectory. So liquidity is quantified as the extent to which an entity spends their Bitcoin. A hodler that never sells has a liquidity value of 0, whereas someone who buys and sells Bitcoin all the time has that value of 1. Simon talked to you guys about these different values last week. So definitely check out that show. I'll make sure that the link is available for those of you who missed it.
Yeah, if you didn't see it, it's SOPR, which is the acronym for Spend Output Profit Ratio. And you can see the age of the coins that are being moved around and or being, taken profit or being spent and sold. So that's a good indicator, I think. And it gives you an idea of the trajectory, like she said, of where the market may be going.
And just like with silver, obviously an older mine Bitcoin is going to be worth 1 that just came off the blockchain yesterday. So we want to keep an eye out on older wealth because it does have a lot more value, how it's being moved, why it's being moved, where it's being moved to. It says with this quantification, circulating supply can be broken down into 3 categories: highly liquid, liquid, and an illiquid supply. So an illiquid supply is defined as entities that hold over 75% of the Bitcoin they take in. Highly liquid supply is defined as entities that hold less than 25%, and liquid supply is in between. Did you want to talk about any of this, or do you want to hop over to the chart?
We can hop to the chart.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this.
I think you guys got the point.
Yeah,
this
this
will
is
be available to you. I hate when it does that. This will be available to you in the description. But 90% of the total Bitcoin to ever exist has now been mined. But only 72.7% are currently in circulation due to lost coins, coins forever locked on Bitcoin's creator, Satoshi Nakamoto's wallet. And from that ratio, 50% of those coins haven't been moved in 2 years. Bitcoin is getting more illiquid by the day. There's a nifty chart down here. I'm going to try to put this link in there to see if you guys can see it. I do want to let you know, only people with Facebook, for whatever reason, will be able to access it. If you don't have a Facebook account, for whatever reason, you won't be able to see it.
Okay. No, I would just, so we're talking about liquidity and the ability to source these assets that have scarcity. And we talked about this time and time again, but you want to have scarcity. There's people want to take the money that fiat currency that they have and lock it up into something scarce so that you can release it over space and time. So that's something that we're going to always hammer in. And so Bitcoin is being illiquid. People are worried about the price action and price movement. Price is here. We thought it was going to be there, but understand that you're getting it at a what I call a discount. So you're getting it at a discount. This is the best time to be buying, as it trades sideways, as it doesn't really have the volatility they used to. And this is a perfect time to buy it. Like we said, we always recommend dollar cost averaging so that it can smooth out that volatility. But this is just overall, we're looking at scarcity coming into play, and these things are happening quicker than I think people realize. And so we want to, you want to get, in front of it, right? You got an opportunity to get stuff scarce at a lower price, and then, it'll get to where it's going.
I would also say, I know that when we talk to our audience, we're typically preaching to the choir, right? Everybody we talk to is on board with Bitcoin, and a lot of you are trying to get into the precious metals and stuff. But when we're talking to our family members, I would like to just make one note. If you don't believe in Bitcoin, fine, whatever. But your children are going to grow up in a world where people are going to have Bitcoin and they won't. So why don't you, if you don't believe in it, buy the Bitcoin and hold it for your children who won't be able to source it. They won't have the opportunity to buy it. And it could be like, yeah, well, I didn't believe in it, but I made sure that I got some for you because I know you're going to live in a world that's Bitcoin driven. And it's one of the reasons why we try to stay on top of what's happening globally with Bitcoin, what's happening globally economically, what's happening globally with the transfer of wealth from this entity to these entities and so on and so forth. Because it's not to say it's not for us. It's just that we parent in a way where it's important that our grandchildren have the best start. Our children have us to cushion some of the blow of life for them, just like in previous generations. The grandchildren, right? We want to make sure we get them off to a good start so that each generation of grandchildren have whatever opportunity is coming to them. If your grandparents bought you silver at $6 an ounce, I don't know, $3 an ounce, whatever it would have been, when your grandparent, you weren't even born yet. Just imagine having that silver, having that gold, it doesn't have to be silver, it could be gold, right? If they bought you gold coins back then, maybe it was $30 or $50 an ounce. I'm not sure what it would have been, 40, 50, 60 years ago. But had they done that to you, that gold would be worth so much now. And if you could have held on to it so that your grandchildren can have that old gold, old precious metal, silver, and I don't like to use the word old as much as I want to use of antiquity. Just understand that that is where really the wealth is. It is in the passing down of your lineage. And when we look at wealth and we see wealth chasing the bag, as we like to say, they're not chasing it for themselves. They have legacies. I'm going to bring it up because I don't know how many of you guys know this, but when Jay-Z and Beyonce got married, they both have each other's last name. So he's Knowles Carter, she's Knowles Carter. He didn't have to take on the Knowles. He was rich by himself.
Yeah, and so and what she's saying, and I don't know if it matters to people, but we watched the movie and read a book, old school style. I might be showing my age, but The Great Gatsby.
Oh yeah,
The Great Gatsby. But if you guys remember, if you read the book and or seen the movie, you remember there was a separation where it was like old money and new money, right? And so if you remember, Gatsby was new money. He was new money. He still had money, but he was new money. And then they had that old money that lived on the other side of, was it the Hamptons?
The Hamptons.
Yeah, so that's old money. Like she's saying, she's talking about old money, and then there's new money. But if you have silver from from back in the day, it's different than having silver now. If you have old Bitcoin from back in the day, if you got your coins in 2012, that's different than somebody who bought their coins yesterday.
Right.
It's different. So it's like the old money, new money dynamic, which plays out. It plays out in the building of wealth.
So if you have nieces, nephews, godchildren, and you know that your siblings are like, yeah, whatever, or your cousins are like, yeah, whatever it is you can do for them, even if you just grabbed a little bit of Bitcoin for their children, every so often, maybe this is your birthday gift. I'm going to help you with the wallet. I'm going to make sure the paperwork's in order so that when I am gone, you have access to your wallet. I think that that's important because as we move towards the illiquid supply, our baby he's 5.
Yes.
Right. When he gets to Sean's age, who's about to be 21, he's not going to be able to buy any Bitcoin. He's not even going to be able, I'm an adult now, I'll take care of myself. He won't have access to it. Yep. But he will because his parents made sure that they established that legacy for him. But had we not, he's living in a world where people are using Bitcoin to do stuff and maybe he could get his hands on it, but maybe not. So we want to start thinking about that. If silver is entering into extinction, which it is, right? We're seeing the signs, we're seeing the writing on the wall. We're watching, I guess it's pocket watching at the highest level, right? Pocket watching economically, like, hey, y'all a little low on silver. We're gonna try to get our hands on as much silver as possible, even if we have to pay a little bit more for it, because there's gonna come a time when, again, that 4-year-old, that 3-year-old, that child who hasn't been born yet, won't even have access to buy the silver.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, this is scarcity at the highest level, as she said. And we'll go into this next article. It's a lot of good game to chop up. So we're gonna, as they say, we're gonna pivot. We're gonna pivot.
Hard transition.
We're gonna pivot. So the people have been complaining about, not complaining, people are upset about inflation.
As they should be.
And so here's a chart on inflation. So this comes from Brian Tyler Cohen. You guys might be familiar with him. He's a very large influencer. And so here's the chart that he breaks down, inflation rates around the world. And these are currencies. So these are why people are putting their money into things like Bitcoin, silver, gold, platinum, palladium. So you're looking at Turkey. So we've been hearing about this for a while. Turkey has 83.45% inflation. So that's the Turkish lira. Argentina, of course, we've spoken about Argentina before. That Argentine peso has 83% inflation. Netherlands is 14.5%. You guys can see, so on and so forth. We are here in Mexico, so we're getting 8.7, and United States is getting 8.2, which is both very, very high. But this, Turkey and Argentina now, we're starting to get into hyperinflation, and I think hyperinflation has a definition, I believe is 50% per month. So they're getting there. The Turkish lira, Argentine peso. We told the story about Michael Saylor, who put his $1 million in a bank in Argentina. They locked it up, devalued the currency by 90%. What he was left with was $100,000. Yes, this is a problem worldwide. You have to have somewhere to put your money. You can't leave it in a bank. You can't leave it in a currency. If people are trying to, trade Forex currencies, you might get some arbitrage on that if you know what you're doing. But with the way that I see it, with the way the inflation is, those are tough trades. Those are tough trades to make. And you just, a lot of people just want to put their money somewhere and, have some
purchasing power.
Well, some gains on it too. And we could talk about the treasury bonds and stuff like that, but I'll leave that alone for another show. But did you want to say anything about all the inflation?
I'm going to tell you guys, like, we're here in Mexico. I was telling Simon the other day, we went grocery shopping, and I'm somebody who knows exactly what stuff costs off the top of her head, because we typically buy the same things for the home. For instance, the kids get a big, huge box of Frosted Flakes, the Kellogg's, right? At one point it was, and I'm doing it in pesos, at one point it was, you get 2 boxes for 80 pesos, which was a deal because one box alone was 70 pesos. So you got the second box for 10 pesos. This is like a month ago. And then it went from 70 to 86 to 90 to 99. And when I went to buy cereal for them 2 days ago, it's now 104 pesos. So you can see in about 6 weeks period, it went from, the 76 to 104. And we're watching, and I'm just giving you one example, but all of the groceries are a different price now. And we're just giving you an example on how the inflation is just going and going and going in almost week by week.
Yeah.
My mother told me she loves to shop at Publix. They have these wings that she loves. I remember those wings being $9.99. And I think you got about, 15 or so wings. They were jumbos. Now they're Sparrows wings, right? And it's $21.99. So you're just like, you're getting less for a lot more. And you're always looking for a way to do the exact opposite, which is to get more for a lot less. So with inflation running away, we talk about earning wealth. We also have to talk about protecting your wealth. Inflation is going to eat at it.
Yeah, inflation is going to eat at it. Lynn Alden, we talked about Lynn Alden before. She gives a good breakdown about inflation and stagflation. So you're going to see inflation in certain products, and then you'll see the price come down in other products. And I think we mentioned this, electronics and things like that. TVs appear to be getting cheaper here.
Right.
They're getting cheaper here. I can't speak for where,
US,
but they're getting cheaper here. Things like TVs, toys for the children, stuff like that is getting cheaper. But even the food like that might be native to the country, right? So we run out and get some what do we get? Some mangoes. They're getting cheaper. They really don't cost as much. Cucumbers, things like that.
We can make a banquet platter salad for what, $3 US?
Yeah. So that some stuff gets cheaper.
Yeah.
We're in Mexico. Things like tequila.
That's getting more expensive though.
But it don't run up. It's not running up. It's not running up. So they got to keep it cheap. So so the people can get what they need to get. They need to get.
You need the tequila in order to deal with the runaway inflation on the food that you like to eat.
Yeah, because inflation is getting crazy down here. Users, and like I said, people, if you get a chance, do it by percentages. If something goes up and you're like, oh, well, that's not that much, but do the percentage and see how much it really went up percentage-wise. That's where the real information is, right? Like we said, if something goes from 10 pesos to 14 pesos, you're like, well, that's not really a big deal. But the deal is it's a 40% increase. That's what the deal is. So, you got to do the percentage and not just look at the money. So when you're checking out inflation, make sure you're doing your percentage. That's why you see this Turkey 83, almost 84% inflation. And I don't know what they use, as far as the indicators to see what they're talking about, whether it's housing, food, things like that. Yeah. So I don't know what they're using.
Well, Brian Tyler Cohen, he's a socio political analyst or whatever.
Yeah.
So his stuff is really no lie with BTC.
Yeah.
Well, not Bitcoin, you guys, with Brian Tyler Cohen. Let me make that very clear. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin. But I'm sure that he's using those indicators and also to create that chart for us because he was the one.
Yeah.
This is his chart that he put
Well,
together.
because like we say in America, in the United States of America, they have the CPI and they use certain things where really in the United States, I'm pretty sure the inflation is higher than that. But they use certain indicators to try to keep it low and things like that. They don't use cost of education. And so, because if you use all the things that people actually have to use on a day-to-day basis, it would be higher. It would be higher.
But I also want to ask, for those of you who do have corporate positions, did you get an 8.2% raise this year? Right? If you're an entrepreneur, are you able to make more than 8.2% than you did last year in order to hedge your way through the inflation?
Yeah.
Right? If you're a trader, I don't even have to ask the question, right? Are you able to mitigate your losses so that you have an 8.2% edge on your trades and able to really just kind of keep up with the inflation? Yeah. So I think even if this is a lowball number, which we all know that it likely is.
Yep.
Did you even do that income-wise?
And you have to talk about a lot of people in the United States, because the United States has a higher average age, right?
Okay, the median age.
So are you getting that if you have a fixed cost of fixed wage, right? So whether it's something like it's retirement, Social Security, pensions, excuse me, are you keeping up with inflation?
Are you able to? Do you have the means or the opportunity to? I'm noticing more and more family group economics, meaning family members are moving in with one another. I noticed that this generation's having to help the boomers who made a significant amount of money, but now their pensions aren't able to hedge this type of inflation. What about the people who, weren't able to retire in 40 years or don't have a retirement? I don't know what minimum wage is in the United States. I would still imagine it's relatively low. But again, we're just asking, this is a low ball number. Are you even able to hedge this number?
Yeah, and you also, we're former military. You would get what they call COLA.
Yep.
Are you getting a 8.2% COLA increase?
Which is cost of living allowance.
You're not.
No.
You're not. I'm gonna tell you, we was in the middle, you're not getting 8.2%. So, I don't know, it might be around 3, maybe 4.
Saying we were in the military during the good times, and as young airmen, we were struggling financially. So I cannot imagine military members, active duty military members today. I'm hoping maybe they wrote in some type of stimulus for them or something like that, because like I said, we were in the military during the good times. When the economy was cool and stuff was, it was like,
Yeah,
Money's so funny.
and your COLA allowance actually exceeded inflation back then.
That was good.
But I don't know, you would need a 10% COLA allowance every year to just exceed inflation, which
And somehow that extra 2% is going to get eaten up by taxes in some which way, shape, or form. So not really, even if they did it that way.
yeah, so this is inflation. We want to talk about an article we have here about inflation
and mental stress
and mental health. So, go ahead, if you could read that.
It says 87% of Americans said that inflation and the rising costs of everyday goods is what's driving their stress. This is the Senior Director of Healthcare Innovation at the American Psychological Association. For those of you who went to college, you remember having to write an APA format. This is the association that drives how you write. So we wanted to bring that up because according to Bankrate's April 2022 Money and Mental Health Report, over 40% of US adults stated that money is negatively impacting their mental health. We've seen the gas prices soar. We're watching food prices soar. When people like to go out to eat, the alcohol, everything that Americans love to consume, including clothing items, apparel. We all saw the Balenciaga trash bag and the Yeezys the LeBrons cost $300-400. Yeah. J's didn't used to cost what they cost now. So just understanding that 40% of US adults are having trouble with the runaway inflation. We all know that it does have a lot to do with the helicopter money we received. And if you did not put that helicopter money away in a safe nesting, whether it was Bitcoin or part of your portfolio that was doing well, precious metals, so on and so forth, you are paying the price for it.
Definitely. Mental health is a big issue. Is this our last article?
That's our last article.
Okay, we can shut down the screen and then chop up some game and get up out of here. So mental health is a big issue, especially amongst our community. So you gotta, you have that stress coming from the financial stress, and then you'll have stress from other things. So mental health is very important. We have to make sure we stay on top of our mental health, and the money. It's just making it work, right?
Absolutely. I would also encourage you guys to I remember when Simon used to do stock market, he used to have this thing called a watch list. So I would ask for you guys what I did was I transferred that idea into my phone articles so that I can stay on top of the global economics and the US economy. Even though we live in Mexico, our revenue is generated via the US. So it's very important that he and I stay on top of everything that's going on there. Even if we don't have the fine-tuned details, like how much ketchup costs at Kroger. But just understanding that where's the old wealth? Is it disappearing? Is it being transferred behind closed doors? What's happening with it? Or is it just that we've been using devices where everybody in the house has multiple devices? And that's where the silver's going. It could be as simple as that. Either which way, old wealth is now moving. It's kind of like seeing Satoshi's wallet moving on. People would panic. Right?
Oh,
like, why is his money moving? What's going on with him?
Yeah, if that wallet, if those Bitcoin move from his wallet,
but
it'd be a panic. We'd be like, hey, what's going on?
But that's what we're seeing at the London bullion.
Yep.
Right? That silver hasn't moved in I don't know how long. So the fact that they're saying this is the first time, unprecedented, it's down below 1 billion ounces. Distributors can't source it. ATMEX, I didn't point it out, but I'm going to mention it now because you guys may not use ATMEX. If you sell stuff back to them, it typically takes 3 to 5 business days. So the fact that they're like, not only we're going to give it to you at spot price plus $10 extra, we're going to make sure we pay you in 1 business day.
Yeah,
that's showing you their desperation.
Yeah, they're looking for those silver eagles, right? That's that They need that.
That's
They
the
need that.
flagship of silver ounces
Yep.
in silver,
Yep.
right? That's the Cadillac. Actually, it's the Maybach, but actually, no, the MS-70s would be the Maybach. That's the
They're
Cadillac
looking for
of
those.
silver ounces. So just understand their desperation
Mhm.
that they're willing to do all of these things. It looks like something they're piloting because it's only for 10 business days.
Mhm.
So it looks like, okay, let's see how much stuff we can source. Let's see how we can flip it and sell it for more. Because if you're giving up your ASC, you have someone just as desperate to buy it because they know they won't be able to get their hands on it.
Yeah, and that's what, and basically overall, we're talking about scarcity. You know, Bitcoin is, and what it always has been, ultimate scarcity. You see something like gold and silver, they are a level of scarcity, but they're not ultimate scarcity.
Mhm.
And so you want to get your hands on these assets that have scarcity, especially, you know, that's one of the, like we said earlier, it's one of the tenets of money
Mhm.
is scarcity.
Yeah.
Scarcity. So, you know, that's why fiat currency, it meets a lot of the requirements, but it doesn't meet scarcity because there is no intrinsic value on it.
Right.
You can just make more of it, you can print more of it.
Mhm.
You know, you can't just print more Bitcoin, you can't just make more silver. I mean, you can go work and mine it. You have to mine it, but you can't make it. But you can just turn out money any way you want. Right? They had like Andy Sheckman said, he was talking about the Bank of England had to go back to quantitative easing and to bail out the pension funds over there. So you just print out money. So they're printing out either euros or what?
Likely euros.
Sterling pounds, British
Mhm.
sterling pounds,
But
or
likely
something like
euro.
that. So, you know, that they can do that. You can't just print out Bitcoin to bail people out.
No, if they could try, they would.
Yeah,
If they could figure out a way to do it, I'm telling you, honey, they surely would. But in addition to that, you know, scarcity is both a gift and a curse. It's what drives the value of an item. It's also the thing that can really be that catch-22 for you when, while it's not, to me, scarcity, if I can't get my hands on it, it doesn't matter if it's ultimate scarcity or not. It feels like ultimate scarcity when you can't get your hands on it. When we think about items that aren't even monetary, like we're talking Bitcoin, we're talking silver, but like the kids keep talking about the PS5. I have no idea where to get them a PS5.
Well,
Because that surely is, it feels like ultimate scarcity with that console.
and you know what a good example is that is, and we lived in Florida for a while,
Mhm.
so you would have some scarcity once the hurricane season started coming through.
Oh yeah.
Scarcity on water,
Gas.
on gasoline, on toilet paper,
Yep.
canned goods, right? So
Diapers, formula.
you had to already be ready, getting ready all year long. You got to have your water ready to go because once you try to go to the grocery store and get some water, there is none.
And you know it's coming. So like don't wait till the hurricanes are gonna come every single year like clockwork. The sun shines and the moon rises, hurricane's gonna hit Florida. So like he's saying, if you stay ready, you never have to get ready and you don't run into, like I said, there was scarcity with the baby formula this year.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah,
It wasn't ultimate scarcity. There was formula falling off the shelves here in Mexico. I was like, I wish I could just like ship this formula to the United States for y'all who don't have it. But it feels like ultimate scarcity, even if it's like, oh, well, you can find it 6,000 miles from here. You can find it, you know, in this place and that place. But like we said, scarcity is both a gift and a curse.
Yeah, they had the whole semiconductors problem.
That processors, yeah.
Yep. So though that was scarcity for the things that, you know, they needed for whether it was like cars or electronics and stuff like that. That's scarcity. You know, like she said, the formula scarcity. So, you know, it might not be scarcity to everybody, right? But the people who need it, they need it.
And they can't source it, they can't find it. If they can find it, the premium is out of this world and you're so desperate that you absolutely have to pay it.
I have a scarcity, I'm being funny.
Oh boy.
I have a scarcity over here in Mexico I can't get a size 12,
Oh,
13
yes.
shoe,
Mhm.
right? So now I need a pair of shoes, but you can't get them.
I think their shoes stop at like 10.
Yeah, so yeah.
So because the people are genuinely smaller built, they're
Mm-hmm.
shorter. We've been to every market we can think of. We've been all over.
You can't get none.
Check the web. Like we have to get his expensive shoes from the United States, and that's why I was saying, LeBrons are $300+ plus we have to pay the customs fee, the shipping costs.
Yeah, I had a friend come visit. He brought me a pair. So I mean that's what it is. I gotta ask, hey, you coming? Bring something for me. I send it. Send it to your Cash App, and you bring me some sneakers, because you need them. You need them because you can't really get anything here, and it's not about um, fashion or anything as far as me, because I'm a little older, so I just need shoes that structurally are good for me. Because my knees, I got bad knees, bad ankles and stuff, so I need a strong structural shoe.
Mhm.
So I try to get with my people, man, and they hook me up, man. I got love for them. So shout out to Ekai Ephraim, if you're watching. Shout
Mhm.
out to him. He brought me some nice structural
But
shoes.
it's the scarcity in the item that every now and then you do need. So that's why we're saying, you guys try to stay on top of what's happening economically in your world, right? And like I said, we know that a lot of people want to be tunnel vision down. I'm just focused on, XRP. I'm just focused on Bitcoin. I'm just focused on, whatever the token of the day is. But you really do want to watch how old wealth is moving. Just like you would watch that wallet
Yep.
on-chain data, you definitely want to watch how old wealth is moving.
Yep.
I was telling hubby earlier, I said, baby, I feel like because now Diddy's a billionaire and he replaced Kanye West. Jay-Z is a billionaire. And how many billions can come from Hov's crib? And we're throwing $1 billion out. And Mark Zuckerberg lost, I don't know how many hundreds of billions of dollars, and it's still a billionaire.
He lost 70. That's what last I read.
But the fact that you could lose 70 billion and still be a billionaire is amazing to me, right? So I think the people are programmed to hear these big numbers and they feel like wealth is infinite. And we're telling you it's not.
It's not infinite. Like she said, we did a show about it. Like I said, it's always been a pet peeve of mine. We're using these numbers kind of, real loose.
Mm-hmm.
The order of magnitude from 1 million to 1 billion, or
To
from
100 billion.
100,000 to 1 billion, so people, it's real loose on the order of magnitude that we use it, but also the wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because people say wealth is like people are rich, but then they're wealthy. And they say, but if you go and just look at the definition, wealth just means what you have as far as, your credits and debits.
Mm-hmm.
If $100, that's your wealth. Not saying you're wealthy, but that's your wealth. That's your
but
wealth.
It's relative, right? Because like if Junior, who's only 12, has $100, he's wealthy for a 12-year-old. Your average 12-year-old ain't running around with $100 bill in his pocket.
Well, I'm just saying,
so it is relative.
But the definition of wealth just means positive, negative against credits and debits. They say there's a thing out there about Black women being the most educated, but the average wealth of a Black woman it was somewhere near negative $10,000, and that has a lot to do with school loans. That's your wealth, even though it's not anything positive. The definition of wealth is what you have against your credits and what debits, right?
Mm-hmm. And people don't understand that you can be a high income earner, but if your debt is just off the chain, and really when you start doing your wealth, you don't really have much despite being a high income generating entity. So just keep those in mind. That's when we see athletes and entertainers are like, how are you broke, right? You made $800 million last year. How are you broke? And you're broke because yes, you are a high income earner, but you also spend a lot of money and you spend more than you generate. You got a whole team. your overhead is just
Yeah.
literally over your head, and that's the problem.
Yeah, and so that's why we always say, look, check out different countries so you can get that arbitrage. If you have the ability to earn high income, like she says, and then you can go to a country where you can leverage the strength of your dollar, the US dollar against a weaker currency and get that arbitrage. That's why we always talk about that. We'd like to see more people do that. The opportunity is out here. You bring your dollar somewhere, and I mean, if you see the 80, like we talked about, the 83% inflation in Turkey, if you were able to take your US dollar to Turkey and leverage it against the Turkish lira, I mean, you'd be, but I don't know who, if people want to live in Turkey and all that. I mean, but but sometimes you got to just make strategic moves and just do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do sometimes. Do what you got to do so that you can do what you want to do. It's the saying they used to say. But we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. We don't want to keep you too long. We probably have kept you too long. We still got a couple shows in the chamber. We're looking to get a couple people on the show so we can talk some ish, if you will. But
I just mind my business here.
but okay. But thank you for joining us. You say anything else?
We'll see you guys next week. I hope you guys have a very safe Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
Be very cautious. Have your head on a swivel like you're supposed to. Man. And we will see you guys next week.
And I will also say for my people out there, Feliz Dia de Muerte.
Oh, okay, yep.
It's
Day of the Dead here in Mexico, so lots of celebrations. They give reverence to their ancestors, so it is a time for them to celebrate their families and their ancestors and so on and so forth. So we'll see you guys next week.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.